Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Sammy, I simply said to him when I first saw him, ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. We got San Francisco Dons head coach. And back, it's interesting that people actually come back on this podcast, aka Shay's show. So we got Chris Gerlufsen from the Dons on the Full Court Press Podcast, a college basketball experience, WCC throwdown. Coach, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here. It means basketball is right around the corner, so good to connect with you guys.
Yeah. Coach, we're pretty excited, and the WCC's got a lot of different storylines this year. But I kind of want to start with your Dons. 7 of the last 8 seasons, 20 wins. You did something really special with Jonathan Mogbo. First NBA draft pick for San Francisco in 42 years. So how does something like that impact your program?
Yeah, that's a great way to start. Just a kind of surreal experience being part of all that last year with Jonathan. Just, when he transferred in, we thought he was going to be an impact player for us. But, for me to say and forecast 10 months later that he was going to be the 31st pick in the NBA draft is still kind of pinch myself about that. But it's just great validation for us, as a program, as a coaching staff. That is a selling point now that we can use on the recruiting front, that we were able to take a kid out of the portal and in 10 months' time help him become an NBA draft pick. But Jonathan was self-made, and he just took advantage of the opportunity that he was given. And it's amazing kind of what can happen when kids just embrace the opportunity and take full advantage of it. And to his credit, he was a pleasure to be around, a pleasure to coach. And it was so awesome just being a part of that experience on draft night, to be with him when his name was called. It was something I'll never forget.
Yeah, it'll be interesting when you get a kid that's transferred 4 times and he gets drafted, what school he says he comes from.
Well, we're going to go with the school he's at last. We're going to
Well deserved. And it's, I'm sure the mentality is you can't replace a guy like Jonathan, but you were pretty active in the portal, when it opened up, and you picked up Carlton Lingard Jr., big 7-footer from UT San Antonio. And his numbers at UT San Antonio were actually better than Jonathan's that has school prior to San Francisco. So what were kind of those pieces you put together during, we'll call it an off season?
Yeah, I don't think there's any one singular replacement for Jonathan and the production that he provided for our team, but that sure was something that we wanted to address through the portal and through high school recruiting. And so Carlton isn't necessarily in the same mold as Jonathan. I think they have 2 completely different skill sets, but Carlton does present, I think, something that's going to be really exciting for not only me as a coach, but our fans, in that he's 7 foot tall and can really stretch the floor. And we like to play that way. We like to play a 5-out style of basketball. And so to have big guys in our program with him and DeWato Newberry, who can step out and stretch the floor, it becomes a challenge for opposing teams in terms of how you match up and guard that. So again, I'm excited for Carlton to just take advantage of the opportunity. He's a guy who rebounds a basketball at a pretty high rate on both ends of the floor. We need that, obviously, because Mobo was a glass cleaner for us. But he's bigger. I think he'll provide some rim protection, being 7 foot tall, and he's an athletic kid. So, again, every team is different. Every recruit is different, but I'm excited for just the growth of Carlton over the next season.
Yeah. And it's a nice kind of nice addition to who you have coming back in Thomas and Williams. I mean, two very, all first team, WCC first team. And then Malik Thomas was WCC honorable mention. So the cupboard's not bare. I mean, talk about some of the other players on your team.
Yeah, throw Ryan Beasley in that backcourt too. I mean,
I think our backcourt is has a chance to be one of the best in the conference. And to have a first team all league guy and Marcus Williams back for his third year here. He knows me. I know him.
Time out, Coach. What'd you say? His third year?
That's like an anomaly. I know that's an outlier in college basketball these days. But to have him come back, and he had bounced around a little bit before he got here, and he's really put his roots down and developed. And I'm so proud of him. He's grown up a lot, both on and off the floor, and we're going to be counting on him big time. As I said, as a first team all league guy coming back. Malik Thomas had a great, I think, transition year coming over from USC, and really came on, especially towards the end of the year, being over 12 a game and over 40 from three. He's a guy who can really score the basketball. And then having the freshman of the year and Ryan Beasley, those three guys right there are really good starting points for us. And I think we've added some additional guys that are going to do nothing but bolster our backcourt. So I'm excited about that. And then you add Dwayne Newberry, a fourth-year guy who is really an exception to the rule now in college basketball, and a guy who I think is going to have a sneaky impact on our team. He's just gotten better each and every year. And he's going to be a really good kind of bookend with Carlton Lingard up front.
Yeah. And you guys are going to be, and Sam, we interview a lot of coaches and we look at a lot of schedules. I really like your non-conference schedule. I mean, if you really look at it and kind of analyze, you got Boise State. I mean, Tyson Denahart's coming back. I mean, Leon Rice does a great job, even though he hasn't got back to us to be on the podcast, here nor there. Memphis, you never know what's going to happen with Coach Hardaway in that squad. I mean, that squad's lethal, and you're playing them in San Francisco, which is really cool. Clemson surprised a lot of teams in the ACC. Well coached St. Louis, Loyola, and Bradley. I mean, that's a really good battle-tested schedule for the WCC.
Yeah, I think we're trying. Scheduling has become probably the hardest thing to do in college basketball, other than recruit. Just putting a schedule together that gives us enough opportunities where if we handle our business, you never want to get to the end of or beginning of March and be kicking yourself that you didn't have enough opportunities. And so we're constantly trying to find those opportunities in the non-conference to hopefully, put us in a conversation to be a postseason team when the time comes for it. So I'm excited about our schedule. It's challenging. I think it presents a little bit of everything.
And I think to just kind of dwell on that a little bit, I mean, a lot of these Power 5 schools, 4 or 5 schools, are not playing teams like San Francisco. I mean, you're like right there on the cusp. And I think the way you scheduled, I mean, come tournament time, let's say you don't win your WCC tournament, you should have a good resume with the teams you're playing, because these are really solid programs.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, the metrics of everything is kind of a hot topic too. And, our scheduling coach, Kyle Bankhead's done a heck of a job putting the schedule together. We're looking for, I think the threshold is 14 quad 1 or quad 2 games. Over the last 2 years, no team has gotten into the NCAA tournament that hasn't played at least 14 quad 1 or quad 2 games. So we're trying to constantly try to forecast that stuff, and it's become a challenge in itself, but I think, we put a pretty good schedule together.
Hey, Sam, I feel like every coach has shouted out their scheduling coach, scheduling organizer. I mean, it seems like every episode someone's throwing someone out, in a good way.
What an important job, though, now. I mean, because you have so many different metrics and analytics that come into play during that selection process. I mean, it's just it's pretty wild just how important that is. And we've seen so many different programs have different strategies in planning non-conference schedule. But going to the WCC, talk a little bit about the conference as a whole. It seems like, the focus and historically has been on Gonzaga, the past 2 decades, and rightfully so. What they've achieved is incredibly impressive. But I feel like the gap has shrunken quite dramatically over the past couple of years. Last year, there's 6 league honors. Not one of them went to Gonzaga. Gonzaga wasn't standing at the end of the conference tournament either, Mm-hmm. So it seems like the gap has shrunk, and programs.
Hey, Sam, it's going to shrink it even more. You want to know how you even shrink it even faster? Get rid of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's a couple years from now, so we won't go down that road. But it's like, I mean, it just seems like these teams, like in that top half of the WCC, I mean, you guys are, I mean, it comes down to last possession almost like 90% of the time. So talk a little bit about how competitive it's been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think I kind of talk about this all the time, but even from when I first came to the WCC as an assistant coach at the University of San Diego, I think that was in 2016 or 2017. Years are running together at this point, but it's just gotten better and better. The coaching's gotten better. The players have gotten better. And I think you see that across the landscape of college basketball. But to Gonzaga's credit, I think they've forced the other teams in the league to kind of up their play, and from a resource standpoint, from how much money is being put into the program, from a scheduling standpoint, and their success is kind of forced, and St. Mary's, their success has forced other teams in the league to either kind of put up or shut up in terms of just allocating enough resources to be successful and give yourself a chance. So I think that kind of gets forgotten about, just the effect that Gonzaga has had on the rest of the league with their success.
Yeah.
And two of the PAC teams are now affiliate members of the WCC for men's basketball this year. What are your thoughts on that? And like, how does it improve the conference having those two teams part of, your guys' schedule this year and the conference as a whole, and kind of what's your kind of thought on that?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. I think anything that can bolster the profile of our league is a win for us. And so to add a really successful program in Washington State, I have a lot of respect for David Riley and what he's done in his kind of short career. And same thing with Coach Tinkle at Oregon State, guy who's been to a Final Four, has won at a high level. And so to add those two teams in the short term, even if it is for the short term, I think it just, makes our league even more competitive. And it's going to be a challenging conference slate for sure. So I'm all for all that stuff. Anything that challenges our league and helps uplift us, I'm good with.
Yeah. And one would think adding those two programs, that would help maybe some more at large bids. I mean, you look at the WCC, I consider it more high major than anything, maybe even than the top, top half of the teams. I mean, you guys have really done well. I mean, look what Coach Sendik's doing at Santa Clara, and he brings back Carlos Stewart, who is WCC first teamer 2 years ago from LSU. I mean, they're going to be good. You're going to be good. I mean, St. Mary's, I can't remember what the stat for St. Mary's is. It's like Randy Bennett, Rhett Bennett. I can't remember what the stat is, but it's a good one. It was so good I remembered it. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, especially after what the Mountain West did in Selection Sunday last year. If that could be the norm for other conferences like the WCC, the Atlantic 10, the American, getting 4, 5, 6 teams in the tournament. It's getting harder though.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're positioning ourselves to hopefully, be more than a 2-bid league. 2 years ago, we did it. We got 3. When we had the good fortune of going. Mountain West had a great year last year with the amount of teams that they got in, and hopefully that's a goal for the WCC. I mean, we want as much representation as possible in March, and I think some of the things that we've already talked about, but not only for us, I think some other teams in our league are really challenging themselves with these non-conference schedules, and hopefully come conference play, that reflects in the metrics and in the net and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, I think there's more pressure on like West Coast teams to have a better non-conference schedule just because like the East Coast media bias and like schedule like nationally televised games and things like that. Like people aren't watching you like as much as they should be because your quality of basketball deserves more national attention is kind of what I'm getting at. So that non-conference schedule is even more important.
Yeah, that's the truth. I grew up on the East Coast and
where'd you grow up?
In Philadelphia.
Yeah, born and raised.
Yeah, I'm in mourning today. My Phillies took a really bad loss yesterday, and so I was a little pissed off waking up this morning. But no,
Mike
just
Schmidt.
Yeah, Mike Schmidt. Growing up on the East Coast, you always used to hear about East Coast bias, and I never thought it was a thing until I actually now almost 10 years on the West Coast. It definitely is. But we're trying to do some things, I think, to kind of counteract that stuff, trying to play more games in different time zones and get on television in different markets. I think that's really important to showcase not only our program, but the rest of the league. I think there are things kind of outside the box that we can do to try to address some of that stuff. But I think you're spot on with that point.
Yeah. There's also an SEC bias too, if you're anywhere bar from the South, but we won't go there.
I'll stay out of that.
Yeah. So if you were to write a movie about this upcoming year for the WCC, how would it go? I mean, there's going to be so much parity, I think, from day one. I mean, you got some of these teams like Loyola Marymount, Pacific, I guess and then you're adding Washington State and Oregon State. Like, tell me about this movie, how it'd go this year for the WCC.
Yeah, I think probably going to be a cliffhanger, something that keeps you on the edge of your seat. As you said, I think there are a number of teams in our league that I think are going to be challenging towards the top half of the league. I think every league game is going to have a lot of consequence behind what happens. And I think it's going to come down to the final week of the season. Hopefully, those are the best kind of conference races when things are like that. And can't say enough about just the quality of coaching across the board in our league. There's so many guys who have won so many games, and I think we have a really good mix of some guys who are just getting their kind of foot in the door as coaches. And then you have, the old school vets, with Coach Sendek and Coach Few and Coach Bennett and Coach Lavin, even at San Diego. So really good mix of coaches and just high level basketball.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. And I know you've been other places and stuff like that. What did you know about the WCC? And how has that perception changed after being in it for, quite as long as you have?
It's a good question. So the WCC used to be what you would put on at night on the East Coast when you're getting ready to go to bed, and you'd catch a few minutes of the game and be like, man, whoever was playing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so you weren't really dialed into it, but it was something that you had on while you were maybe getting ready to go to sleep. And but I always remember watching, those games. And so then having the opportunity to come out to the West Coast and be a part of it, all my expectations were kind of blown out of the water. And just in terms of how competitive of a league it is, the quality of players and the quality of coaching. I just think it's a league that doesn't necessarily always get the respect that it deserves. And some of that could be, we do play, late on the East Coast, but it's a league that really offers a lot if you're just a fan of college basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure IQ of the WCC is just off the charts too. When I watch those games, I'm like, this is how college basketball should be played. Like you can just tell they listen to coaches, and it's very experienced. Even when I look at like the first team, second team, third team kind of preseason picks this year, it's like, I think 13 of the 15 guys are seniors this year in that list. The other 2 are juniors. So it's like the experience in the WCC is just off the charts.
Yeah.
No, we'll see how it all shakes out, but I think it's as good as it's been in a long time. And this year should be really exciting.
Yeah, and Mitchell Saxon's back for his 26th year at St. Mary's, so
he's been there since 1998.
Oh my God, he's like the Evan Eschmeyer of 2024.
Seriously.
Remember Evan Eschmeyer from Northwestern? I mean, I think he had like 46 years of eligibility. He might actually still be playing for Coach Collins. But if you look, like, I was just doing some research, and you look at like these teams, like your team coming back, like Gonzaga. I mean, with NIL and the transfer portal, you probably hoped as an opposing coach, like, can like Graham Ike or like Michael Ajay go somewhere else? I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, maybe in the moment you have those thoughts as just being a competitor, but no, I think, as I said, I think our league is full of a multitude of players that could receive all conference honors, and to me that is exciting for our league as a whole. I think the talent is as good as it's been. And it's going to make for a really exciting year of basketball.
Yeah, and you got a kid from Temple coming into your league, Khalif Battle, averaged about 18 a game. So you got some Philly. But you got Philly through and through. We've interviewed quite a few coaches or people from the kind of the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area, and they're all not shy. It's like the Rocky Balboa of the movies. Like, you just don't back down, right? It's just like, you know what? I'm going to beat them. I'll play them and I'll beat them. I'll compete, right? And that's kind of the Philadelphia mantra. Except for the Phillies right now, obviously.
Yeah, we can avoid that conversation, but no, I think that's part of like just growing up there. I don't know. There's a level of competitiveness that feels like everybody has, and I don't know if that's growing up rooting for the teams that we root for, but it's never if it's something in the water. But there's definitely just a competitive spirit that comes with having a chance to grow up there. And, it's a great college basketball city as well.
Absolutely. And what the funny thing is, I feel like you're always had to compete in Philadelphia because you have New York and Boston right down the road. So I think that, that thing. So, but Sam, I think he's ready for what he's been through.
Into the shot clock, Coach.
Let's do it.
Yeah, LT's going to fire off some questions. You've been here before, and whatever comes to mind, just let it rip.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we got some new ones, but we're going to start with some old ones and some old favorites. One word to describe the WCC.
Competitive.
Okay. Favorite WCC official. That's a new one.
Ooh. In the very slim chance that John Higgins, our coordinator of officials, is watching this, I'm probably gonna bow out of this question, but I will say this: I'm pretty competitive in the course of a game, and I do really respect every official we have. I think there's a lot of good ones here on the West Coast. I was happy last year we included some East Coast officials. We made the trip out to the West Coast and started getting some East Coast officials who I've known for a long time involved in the WCC. So that was a good, I think, change in terms of just making the games a little bit different for me. So I'm not going to give you a name on an official.
Okay.
Shout out to John Higgins, though, putting a good.
There we go.
Yeah. So what team had the most team fouls called against them last year in the WCC?
Oh, that's not even close.
Who?
The USF Dons.
Nope. Second.
No.
18.5 calls. I'm surprised. That's why I asked you that question, because it's kind of loaded, because you were the second most team called foul team or whatever, but there was someone that had 0.5 more team fouls called than you did against you guys.
I just know that's one of the major areas we tried to address here in the off season. We need to foul less, and we need to get to the free throw line more. So, who was it?
The Toros.
San Diego.
19. Who had the least amount of fouls called against them?
I'm going to go with the Portland Pilots.
The Portland Pilots, you are correct. 14.9. 14.9. So a couple coaches have told us one coach told us, and I've told this to many coaches, the best advice I can give you, have all 5 players foul at the same time. They can only call one foul.
There you go. That's an interesting strategy.
Yeah. I'm starting a coaching video series. I think that's going to be one of the key emphases on the first episode, at least. All right. Toughest place to play. I know I've asked you that, but I want to hear it again because I love it.
So you're talking about in conference?
Yep. Yeah,
I think every road game in conference presents a different challenge. You know, going to the Kennel is a challenge in itself. Going to Pepperdine is a challenge in itself. And you could go on down the line. Every game, every venue presents something just a little bit different in terms of how you have to get your team ready. Yeah. And so I wouldn't say one's better than the other. I get ready the same for every game. But playing on the road is a challenge in itself. And I would say winning on the road is probably, we love winning at home, but there's something different about going into a hostile environment and winning on the road. Okay.
I like that. Which head coach in the WCC has the best shoe game?
Me.
Okay. Who would you say is the most animated of all the head coaches in the WCC on the sidelines?
I'm going to go with Stan Johnson at LMU. I've just seen a couple clipboards be broken from time to time, which is probably a page out of my book too.
Yeah, you should buy him as a Christmas gift a metal clipboard. See if you can break that bad boy.
Might have to do that.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny. Next thing you know, he has like a broken hand because he tried to break it. So the WCC has decided to do some new marketing ideas, promotional gift ideas, and they're actually going to do a candle set. And they're making a Chris Gerlufsen candle. So what would that candle smell like?
Where do you get these questions?
So we've heard everything from gunpowder smoke to lavender to
eucalyptus mint.
Yeah, to bourbon, vanilla. Like it's kind of like, you know, what scent do you put with your personality?
Ooh, I like that.
I'm gonna go with it would have to be something. I think my personality on the floor is a little bit different off the floor. Off the floor, I think I'm pretty laid back. So I would go with something like an island vibe. Like it'd have to be something beach orientated. I don't know. But
passion fruit.
There we go. I spent 2 years in Hawaii, so I'll go with something from the islands.
Tropical Thunder. That's your candle. Tropical Thunder.
There we go.
There you go. So the WCC has a little bit of extra money in their marketing budget. They're going to do a Hollywood movie. So if they did it about all the WCC coaches, what would it be called? What would the movie title be called? You should hear some of the answers we've heard for this one too.
I'll go with just one of my favorite movies. We'll go Goodfellas.
There you go.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. I like the candle suggestion, the animated, the shoe game, and the Hollywood movie. It sounds like it's something I want to watch and see. So
I think we need. I mean, there's a handful of probably a dozen coaches, and Coach G is one of them who has just like an incredible shoe game. Like I want to like have like a little challenge, like, and they're all Nike sponsored schools too.
My better half doesn't agree with my hobby of collecting sneakers. It's kind of taken over our house, but it's something that's kind of become a obsession for me.
Do you have a favorite that you've collected?
I don't really have a favorite pair per se. I just have a problem in terms of buying sneakers. It's something that.
Why are you buying them? Why are you buying them? You should be getting them gifted from.
Well, some of them are through Nike, but I tend to spend a good portion of my money on my sneakers.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Pay less shoes, baby. What about Coach Valentine's shoe game from Loyola, who you guys are playing? That's going to be, Sam, we might have to go to that one in Milwaukee. just to get photos of their shoes.
Another Nike school, and Coach Valentine takes a lot of pride in his shoe game, so you better show up with something strong then.
I'm going to definitely have to pack my best for that trip. It's going to be a hard game there, and then going on to Bradley from there. It's going to be a tough road trip. So we're looking forward to it. I'll pack my best. Coach
Wardle told us he has the best shoe game in the Missouri Valley, didn't he? 2 weeks ago. Told me that. Yeah. You have to bring it. So good deal.
Coach G, we really appreciate you coming on and doing the WCC preview show. I'm going to turn it over to you last minute of this episode. Anything you want to share to the Don faithful, the Boosters alumni, how the team's coming together this fall, things you guys are looking forward to?
Yeah. First off, appreciate you guys having me on. You definitely keep me on my toes every time I'm here. But I would just say that, number one, I'm super grateful and humbled to be the coach here at the University of San Francisco. There's been a lot of great coaches that have come before me. There's been a lot of great players that have come before, the guys who we have in our program now. And part of my job as a head coach and our staff is to represent the people who have come before us in the right way. And I'm really excited about the group that we've assembled this year. I think it's going to be an exciting team to follow. I think we have a really high ceiling in terms of where we can get to. And we just want to make the Dons faithful proud in the process of all that. So we're excited. Wish we had about 2 more months to get ready for the season, as I think every head coach would say. But I'm also kind of itching at the opportunity to play someone else. So again, appreciate you guys. You guys are what's good about college basketball, and appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, it's like parenting, Coach. You can never be ready to have that first child.
It's all our fans.
I one kid. I got 3.
I was going to end the show a little differently by telling everybody to tune into WCC basketball this year, because it's absolutely electric when you get involved in this conference and you get invested in it. And Coach G, I do think you have one of the best backcourts in the entire country on any given night. And it's going to be electric to watch. So good luck this season.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And it's, what I watched, no offense, Santa Clara play someone, and Steve Nash was there. And it was like, I think they beat Gonzaga. Or St. Mary's. And it was just like, and I've watched some of your games, and they're just fun. They're fast paced. They're fun. It's not like you said, you used to watch maybe 5-10 minutes. Like my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm watching Mountain West or WCC basketball. So I can't wait, because I can watch 2-3 games a night. It's kids are asleep or they're busy, and I can watch it. So Coach, we really appreciate it. Going to stick on for one more second. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. The handles are below. And check out Coach G's Dons and the WCC as they go on to hopefully we can see at the NCAA tournament. Sam will be in Denver. I'll be in Cleveland. So they'll probably put you in Utah, but close enough. But Coach, thanks again. Thanks for watching. And Sam will be back with another conference preview show. I think we got a handful more to go. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the Full Court Press Podcast, the College Basketball Experience.